Labhair le Rory radio Rírá. Radio Rírá. Díomh is mis Rory agus fáilte go Labhairt. An bodcréile seo dheoidh tú na PC éasfear an glóir Labhairt radio Rírá. Chomá le rudí spéisiúla nach bhuaithí tú áit be eile. Éisteach Labhairt radio Rírá agus cuine súil an bodcréile de agalah cluichí agus play. Radio Rírá. I'm tired this morning. I've had no sleep. I'm also not alone. After a few solo episodes, I'm super glad to be not only have a guest, but I'd nearly consider it co-hosting this time. What has happened this morning is that Lady Gaga has finally released her 6th album, or 8th if you include her jazz album with Tony Bennett and the A Star Is Born soundtrack, but her 6th album, we'll just focus on that, Chromatica. It is just out. And I'm joined on the line on Zoom by Dean O'Reilly. Hello.
Hello, thank you for having me.
No, I'm really glad to just not be talking into a mic on my own for a review and have discussion.
I'm glad that someone is valuing my opinion enough on this album to bring me on for at least, I don't know, a good half an hour, 40 minutes and an hour long episode, just dissecting through everything, because I have many thoughts from beginning to end. On this album, on Lady Gaga, on her career, on anything. So yeah, I'm looking forward to going through everything with you.
Yeah, but it was also a moment of... It just started off that I just did a future nostalgia review, and then like when I think about it now, it's kind of, what could be better than having a little monster talk about the new album? And the answer to that is, have two little monsters talking about the album.
Immediately after Rory released his review of Future Nostalgia, I messaged him like straight away, and I was like, whenever Chromatica comes out and you're doing that review, please have me on, because I would love to be able to talk to someone about it.
That's not that's not what you said.
What?
You said you have to have me on for Chromatica.
Well, would there be a better person? I don't know.
I don't know a single.
Gaga herself.
I don't know a single. I know lots of people who respect her talent, think she's an amazing vocalist, and went mental for A Star Is Born. But I don't know a single other person who is just as like dedicated, borderline obsessed. Let's just like leave that line a little bit blurred. Who has that level of dedication? I don't know anyone else or anyone better. So it's only right that we have discussion. And to be honest, the amount of like back and forth that we've gone through over the last few weeks, almost daily, sometimes twice, and maybe I'd say last week when Rain On Me dropped 3 or 4 times in a day to discuss every aspect of this album as it came out.
I listened to the album when it came out in Australia. So I heard it like maybe like 8 hours or whatever the time difference is before everyone else, and so I was waiting for everyone to hear it at midnight here before I even told people what my favourite songs and stuff were. So I didn't want to colour people's experience of any of them.
Yeah, I decided to torture myself yesterday and download it at the same time as it was released in Australia, but to have the willpower to not press play. And I'm really glad to say that I managed to do it, because when Charlie dropped How I'm Feeling Now, I definitely didn't do that. I listened to the whole thing about 4 hours before, but also because I wanted the review to drop at like 9 in the morning. But I'm glad I kept away this time. I've listened back to leaks. I listened back to the Stupid Love leak, but like after the song was out.
Okay.
Because I didn't even know that it was leaked.
I listened to the Stupid Love leak the day it leaked. I listened to it because it was like during like exam time for around that. Yeah, it was like Christmas time, exam time. Yeah. And I remember I was up like studying for some exam at like 2 a.m, 3 a.m. or something, and I saw that leaked on Twitter, and I frantically went everywhere looking for it, and then obviously everyone was like, oh, the song is going to be mixed differently, it's going to be produced differently by the time we get to the original or like the official release. That was not the case. It was. And actually I went to see Kim Petras in Dublin, and the DJ before her set started played Stupid Love for everyone of the leak, and that was a moment that I really enjoyed getting to live. It's the only like experience that we're gonna have for a few months of people getting to like dance together to songs from Chromatica. So I'm glad, even though I guess it was against what she would have wanted because it was a leak, but getting to live that with everyone was very nice.
I also found it really funny. I think she said in one of the first interviews for this, I can't remember, but she definitely said it at some point. She said, yeah, they absolutely hacked and have the entire album on their hard drive, but they decided to only leak Stupid Love, which I found really interesting. I don't know how she knew it, but she obviously had some way of knowing that someone had gotten the whole album, but only leaked one song.
They did. I don't know who it was, but those people like got access to all of her stuff from Interscope, and did you see that? How they were leaking like her previous contracts and stuff on Twitter?
Yeah, they hacked the solicitors.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
So I wonder if like in some tangential way, or maybe it was in the same thing. It was like that was how people got the album.
But thankfully there was nothing incriminating in it. It was just kind of contracts and kind of legal jargon and all.
I think the most surprising thing, and I won't stay on it for too long because I know we're talking about Chromatica here, but the most surprising thing from those leaks was that Why Did You Do That and Heal Me were written before A Star Is Born.
Were they?
They weren't. Yes, they weren't written for A Star Is Born. She used them for it. So I wonder if they were Chromatica rejects, or could have potentially been Chromatica.
That's crazy. Because I know when I read the Heal Me credits and Julia Michaels was on it, I was like, great songwriter, but I cannot see them two writing together. And we'll get on to why once we delve into the album. But that's mad. Yeah. Anyways,
right.
We'll get into a few little quick stats. So the last proper album of her own was Joanne, which was released in October 2016. So this has been over 3.5 years. It's been the longest gap between albums, but to be honest, she's been anything but quiet since then. She has won 5 Grammys, headlined the Super Bowl, headlined Coachella. She went on the Joanne tour in support of the album. She also did the absolute smash A Star Is Born, for which she won an Oscar, a Golden Globe, 4 of those 5 Grammys, and a BAFTA. She started her Las Vegas residency Enigma, which had about, I think, 75 shows is what it's at a minute, and reportedly, I wouldn't be surprised, earning about $1 million a night. Amazing. And she also started a business. She launched her makeup range, House Labs. So that's a lot to get into in 3 years. I don't know how she did it all. But the first proper signs of the album came on the 12th of March, 2019, when she was still very much in the A Star Is Born promo bubble, still won the Oscar, everything. And there was just a rumour circulating that she was pregnant. So she decided to hit back and say, rumours I'm pregnant. Yeah, I'm pregnant with LG6. So that obviously set everyone on fire.
I would come back and I would say, I think the first hints towards this album came much earlier than that, because there were, I think it was 2 years ago or maybe longer than that, she would sporadically, like randomly, upload photos to her Instagram story of her just like in the studio, just like there. And when we go back and look at them, I saw this post on Twitter and I wish I had it on hand so I could send it to you. But there's like, she put up a story where she's in the studio and she generally you can like draw on your Instagram stories. Yeah. She drew a waveform, which I think ties back to like sign and like the idea of like sound and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So she's been hinting at this for a while. We just didn't necessarily know that that's what it was.
She definitely was always in the studio, and it may be her first album in a while, but it's her first release, should we say, since The Cure, which I absolutely adored when it came out. I think it's still one of my most played songs in my music. Like, yo, you're shaking your head.
I do not like The Cure. Well, it's fine. It's serviceable. I like the lore behind The Cure. I like that she released it after the Chainsmokers told her that she can't write music anymore.
Yeah.
Love that. It was nice for her to have a new song for Coachella, but to me The Cure sounds like it was an Ali Main reject, and it doesn't fit with her discography for me anywhere.
Yeah, I was just so happy because we were talking about it just before we recorded. I was not too happy with Joanne. It took me about a year to properly warm to a lot of the songs on Joanne. I was initially kind of thinking, oh no, she's just doing this country album. What? Like, why? Like, is she gone? Is she dead? Is she just finally grown up? Is that it? So then I remember getting up really early at some ungodly hour to watch the Coachella show on YouTube.
Yeah.
And when she performed it, I thought, whoa, new song. And then when she said at the end, it's like, oh, surprise, it's out. It was really pop. I was like, I'm so glad she still has that in her. She's not just gone country
Yeah.
for life. And I think that's probably a lot of the reason why I latched onto it so much. So if we get past the tweets and the photos, the first, I'm not going to say first proper because everything has been the first proper mention.
Yeah.
The first thing that has ended up on the album, first thing that is confirmed was that Stupid Love leaked mid-January.
Yeah.
And then it was almost the same. I've listened back to it. Some of the vocal mixing needed to be different, which
Okay.
it did end up being. Glad, but that's all. And then it got released on the 28th of February, also your 21st, so glad that you played it.
Well, see, I already had the leak, so I was planning to play that song either way. But I'm glad that I got to play the like official version and,
Yeah.
not the leak.
Because I remember you also putting a note up a few days before saying, I worked really hard on this playlist, so no requests. And I remember texting you that day, I just said, I know you're not allowed to take requests, but I would suggest that you play this. And it got everyone up. I made my whole
It
table
did.
get up. There was about
Yeah.
6 or 7 of us at a table, and I said, we're getting up now. So yeah, so this was kind of more of a return to the pop and the dance that she's more known for.
Yeah.
And it was definitely a return, in a way, to that.
Yeah, I think it was deserved. Like I think it was a fantastic lead single. I obviously she's released I think 2 official singles from the album now. I would argue Sour Candy is kind of a single, but I think Stupid Love was definitely the strongest song she could have chosen for the lead single. I'm happy that she went with that one.
Yeah, and it's super dancey, super singable. But I think the biggest thing that really completely shocked me, I remember reading about it earlier, but then when she talked about it in her Zane Lowe interview that day, was when, like, I'm just a pop music nerd. As soon as I love a song, I'm like, who wrote that with you? Who produced it? And one name just like, I don't know if it was the same for you, but one name just really stuck out and I was so shocked to see it, and that is Max Martin.
Yeah.
I could not believe that she worked, not in a disappointed way, but I was so shocked because especially in the BBC Radio 1 interview she did when Perfect Illusion dropped, Nick Grimmy, who's the host, like mentioned about how pop stars often like to go to like the Max Martins, the hit makers.
Yeah.
And she didn't say his name in it, but it felt like she was referring to him where she said, oh yeah, people say this person's like really hot or worked out. I'm just not interested in working with that. I'm not interested in working with people who are the new shit or anything like that. So
Yeah.
the fact that I saw his name on it, I could not believe it. I thought this is definitely a change. Because he's just been providing hits for 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'd associate him most with Britney for
Yeah.
me, like Britney and like that era. I was surprised seeing his name as well for like that exact reason. She seems to kind of work with not lesser known people, but like lesser. I don't know the words I'm trying to find, but like less
Yeah.
industry people. Let's put it that way. So yeah, I thought that was interesting that he was on there.
And now looking back, there, like, I know she said in the interview, I worked with him a bit, and that's actually what I can hear. I can hear a bit of him in it, but it's not a full blown Max Martin song. But I can really hear it in the whole, like, the chorus, which just says, "I want your stupid love." Like, whatever way that melody's been put together is just so Max Martin, and he's just great at vocal production. So a few days later, she hadn't said it, but everyone knew it was going to be called Chromatica. Just, she dropped it in so many places that it was just like, it's very clear. She announced an initial date of 10th of April, which seemed really, really soon. And as much as I was excited to get it, I thought this seems really soon, because it was Joanne was the same, where it was lead single and only 6 weeks later dropping the album, which seems like a really short campaign. So I'm really glad that it got pushed back with coronavirus.
I was worried as well because it would have had to compete with Future Nostalgia if it was
Mm,
released around that time, and she wouldn't have won that one. Like
no.
she wouldn't have won that battle at all. Um, and it was such a quick turnaround, like you were
Yeah.
saying. So yeah, I'm happy it was pushed out to around now. I wish coronavirus wasn't happening because it would have completely just ruled Pride season, which now it doesn't get to. Um, but yeah, so much happier that it was released later than like April. That seems so early.
And it definitely gave some more anticipation for it in that you had to
Yeah,
wait.
yeah. I really wonder what the release schedule would have been like had she released it then with like Rain on Me. Yeah, yeah. I don't know how it would have worked if she had
Because,
kept with the original date.
I mean, it's been 3 months since Stupid Love dropped now, and I nearly feel like 6 weeks ago would have been around the right time to kind of drop a second single
Mm,
in a way, but when it's coinciding with the album release, I don't know. It can go either way. Like sometimes the fact that the album is out completely takes away from the song, or
yeah,
it could do
yeah,
a Dua Lipa, like you mentioned, because New Rules wasn't released until the day of the album, and it took a few weeks, but we all saw what happened with that.
yeah.
So in the end of March, she ended up pushing it back, which I was glad about. But one thing
Yeah,
I
me
was
too.
very disappointed about that everyone saw in that announcement was that she had a Coachella set planned. And I can only imagine what that would have looked like if it had been, because like Coachella's mid-April, so the album would have been out by then. So she could have, I don't know if she would have been allowed, but she probably could have done a full set if she wanted to.
Yeah, I think she had many surprise performances
Yeah,
planned for this era because of the type of music that's like it's very dance pop.
yeah.
I think she had it planned that and I think that's why the Chromatica ball had so few dates. Is I think she was just going to do pop ups everywhere.
But in the meantime, she was doing One World Together at Home with the World Health Organization and Global Citizen, raised a shed load of money, which is great. Towards the end of April, the track list got leaked by Target, and then we all got to see it. She announced it after because it got leaked only a few hours later. Start of May, she announced the new release date, and that's when it properly started to feel like we were back on the. I don't know if it was for you, but for me, it felt like we're back on the album cycle. We're back on
Yeah,
the promo. We've taken a bit of a break with all this, and you were organizing your other stuff, but now it feels like we're back and we're going. And it has been such a long few weeks
yeah,
waiting, like so long. Like, I mean, even yesterday, all I was doing was just trying to distract myself to let the time go by. But eventually, on the 22nd of May last week, she had Rain on Me with Ariana Grande, and uh, I don't even know what to say.
oh, that was some of the most like spectacular work she has done in her career. Like I was saying this to people whenever talking about the album, she had really smart choices in the people that she
Mm,
collaborated with on the album. Well, like when we think
yeah,
about the position she was in post A Star Is Born, like this album, in many ways, people were expecting was going to be one of the biggest of her career, and the fact that she
yeah,
was working with Ariana Grande, who I would argue was like pretty much at the top of the totem pole of American pop music, and then Blackpink,
yeah.
in terms of their like dominance over the K-pop scene. Like she really hit all areas as much as she could, and I think it's a very like Madonna Britney Spears moment. The idea of like juggernauts in the sphere working together, it's fantastic, and the song is brilliant. It's a really good song.
But Rain on Me was just so. I really did not expect it to be as good as it is. I knew it was going to be good, but part of me still thought, is this just being made a single because
Yeah,
Ariana
yeah.
Grande's on
I
it?
also thought about that as well. I wondered if it was going to be like when Ariana jumped on Good as Hell,
Yeah,
which I really don't think is that strong. Like she basically comes in for like 10 words and
yeah.
then that's it. And I think her verse on that song really takes away from the feel of the song. So I was worried that the same thing would happen with Rain on Me, but I actually think that the two of them work really really well. And then when the music video dropped and everyone got to see the visuals and to see them, like, I was really worried that the music video wasn't filmed before coronavirus. So I was worried that it was going to be like a social distance, like zoomed in music video. And so the fact that it wasn't, I think was really, really strong. And I think, although I think Stupid Love was a stronger lead single, I think Rain on Me will be the strong, like, enduring single. I think it would be the biggest one.
Yeah.
And obviously that comes with the territory with Ariana, obviously.
Yeah. And we don't have figures yet because it's still too soon, but there's a lot of talk of it being number one.
I can't imagine it won't be. I can't imagine it won't be number one in the US and the UK.
Like, all the midweeks have been saying it'll be number one, and so many people on my Twitter feed that I didn't even, well, wouldn't be massive fans or even talk about either of them very much have been all talking about it all week, and I've been torturing my family with it so much. It's just like, I can't even put it into words. And then she dropped Sarah Candy yesterday with Blackpink, as you were talking about like 12 hours before at least 12 hours before it was released here.
Yeah.
And you actually predicted about a week ago, I remember you said apparently there's going to be a promotional single next week. I wouldn't have imagined 12 hours before. That'd be too soon. I would have thought maybe midweek, but...
So, yeah, I had heard through the grapevine, so through gay Twitter that Free Woman or Babylon were going to be released as promotional singles. I thought Free Woman was more likely because the two of them had leaks. But I think the full song for Sarah Candy leaks that day, whereas only parts of Free Woman or previous versions of Free Woman and only parts of Babylon had leaks before. So I think they probably just went, well, the song is leaking, people are going to listen to it, we might as well capitalize on it now. Like, the album's coming out in 12 hours, whatever, might as well, like, cash in. It went, like, number one on iTunes pretty much worldwide, and so a strange decision.
It wouldn't have been the most damaging leak of all because it came out only a few hours before the album. They recovered from it pretty well. Let's get into it. The album is pretty much split into like three acts, and they all start with a track called Chromatica. There's Chromatica 1, 2 and 3. They're all about, well, the longest one is about a minute long. They're all instrumental, and then you get into the proper songs. So I know we would probably be here all day if we did a track by track, because even when I was on my own talking about Future Nostalgia doing a track by track, which was 11 tracks, I was there for nearly half an hour, whereas this is 16 tracks and it's two dedicated little monsters talking. So I thought, don't go on all day. Chromatica 1, this section.
I'll briefly say, when it comes to the Chromatica 1, 2 and 3, I thought these were going to be spoken word interludes of her saying things about Chromatica as a place. I was pleasantly surprised that it was the instrumental, so I think those are really nice. Chromatica 1 is the strongest or second strongest act to me. I think it has a very clear theme. It's obviously about like relationships or love or kind of going through hard times. I relate to this like section probably the most out of the three acts. Obviously it has Stupid Love and Rain on Me in there. In this section, I'd say a standout to me besides the singles would be Fun Tonight. I think it's a really great song. I thought it was going to be about her being sad and then her friends helping her having fun.
Same.
And that's what the song was going to be about. Like,
absolutely
that's
thought that.
what I anticipated the song would be. And that's the feel that I got from the Zane Lowe interview that she did.
Same.
But the fact that she took it on this like, oh, actually, like, I am incapable of enjoying myself tonight, and kind of writing a song around that experience, I just think it's really nice. Like, I don't know if it's relatable to everyone, but that feeling of like you want to engage in whatever it is that's going on in your life, people are going out, whatever, but you're just like so wrapped in whatever it is that you're experiencing, and that's keeping you from it. And
I completely relate.
that story of like guilt where you can see in the other, like the lyric in the song of I can see it in your face, you don't think I pull my weight, like that experience of you can see disappointment in someone else that you can't pull yourself out of it.
And you feel pressure to keep up and keep face
Yeah,
and everything. Yeah. Because I still believed that it was the whole I'm having, like, being sad, but my friends are gonna bring me in. I'm having fun tonight. I believed that all the way up to when she just says, "I'm not having fun tonight."
yeah,
As much as it was sad at the start, I was like, I'm waiting for the turn. I'm waiting for it to suddenly like change key and take me on a ride, but no.
yeah.
Also, Chromatica 1, the actual track, the intro to the Stupid Love video,
Yes, yes. I've this done.
my
Yeah,
face lit up because I actually just love, as much as I love Easter eggs, that was an Easter egg that was completely like a horse in front of a cart in front of all of us,
yeah.
and no one suspected a thing.
No,
Just thought
I,
it
I,
was for the
I
video.
didn't think about that at all. Like I
Yeah.
didn't. No, like I wouldn't have been able to predict that that's what it was. Yeah, and sorry, I don't know how I just didn't talk about. I think Alice is a really strong opener.
Yeah, I love particularly I think the biggest line I wrote down was "Take me on a trip, DJ, free my mind," because that is almost like a precursor to the whole album. That it's like very dancey. The tracks are very upbeat. They may be sad, but they're still very upbeat. You're
Yeah,
gonna dance to it while you cry, and it felt like another intro in a way.
yeah. I was looking like going through this song. I think the bridge reminds me of like late 2000s sort of mixing and music production. I have down here very boom boom pow will I am. I don't know. I don't. I can't remember specifically why I felt that way, but if people are listening to the song and they get to the bridge, tell me if you get a very boom boom pow feeling from it.
Yeah, because just like you probably were. I was like writing notes as I was listening to it, and then even when I was listening to it a second time in bed, I obviously didn't want to be looking at my laptop, so I just kept my notebook beside me and I just scrawled so many little
Yeah,
pieces down. And Free Woman is also, the track is very different to the leak, I think.
yeah. For Free Woman, the only real thoughts I have is I think the hook on the song is very good,
Yeah,
and I see a lot of white women dancing to it at EP. Like that was that was the feeling that I got. But I think it's a good song,
yeah,
but for some reason I expected more from it from the leak. I don't know
yeah.
what it is that I don't connect with it as much, but yeah,
But yeah, a good act overall. It seems to, there seems, at least as far as I'm concerned, it feels like there's a lot of kind of redemption and feeling good and strong. But
yeah,
then the fact that Fun Tonight comes in at the end, it like well, I'm not going to say it hints because it's right there in your face, but it's like it's in a very broad scheme in terms of the whole album. It's like a hint at the kind of pain and like sadness that she talks about, and it's kind of flows into what the next act is going to be,
yeah.
because the next act like delves a lot more into sadder things.
Then we get into the second act.
Yeah, starting off with 911
911.
and Plastic Doll. We can both, as much as we've had a few disagreements so far, which we will get into very, very soon, we did agree that we're not mad about these two.
I I really do not love 911 or Plastic Doll, which is disappointing to me because I was looking forward to both of these songs,
Yeah,
especially based on her Zane Lowe interview. I
yeah,
will say the how Chromatica 2 goes into 911 is phenomenal.
brilliant.
It's fantastic. But the actual songs I don't really live for that much. Um, like 911, it's like the type of song where if I leave the album playing and I'm not consciously like paying attention to 911, I will probably like sing along to it. But the minute that I come back into consciousness around it, I'm like, I don't like this. And then
You'll
Plastic
passively
Doll,
hear it.
yes, yes, it's like how experience like Dope or sometimes like our pop the title track. Like I don't seek them out, but when they're playing in the background, like that's kind of okay. And then Plastic Doll, I know we don't want to do track by track, but I expected the song to be more like Vogue, more like housey, more. I don't know. I expected more of a speaking kind of song. I don't really know how to put it into words. But yeah, I don't really like that much. I have here the way she sings in the chorus reminds me of "Heal Me" and "Why Did You Do That." Just like the way she's singing reminds me of those types of songs. But yeah, not my fave.
I will admit that when like, after I woke up this morning, Plastic Doll did grow on me like 1%. Like, it creeped up by a tiny, tiny amount. I can maybe see myself liking it a few more percent. It'll never be my favorite, and 911 I still just, no. And I love that we're basing everything off the Beats One interview at Zane Lowe, because that's all the main promo she's really done. But because she referred to both of them, I really was expecting
Yeah.
fireworks, whether that was in terms of a really dancey, explosive track, or like lyrics that shock you for a second, like the way that when
Yeah.
she said "I'm not having fun tonight" made me go, wait. But
Yeah.
that's not what happened.
Yeah.
Next.
I just don't really like the production on them. I'll, I am in the I am in the minority on that though. Like, I think from Twitter it seems like everyone loves those two songs. It's just not for me.
Yeah, and then we had Sarah Candy, which we were talking about. It's short and sweet, and the track itself reminds me a lot of Girls Like, Tiny Tempa and
Well,
Zara Larsson.
it samples the same song. Yeah,
Oh,
so this is what my main opinion on the song is I wish they had done more with the sample.
yeah,
So it doesn't sample Boys Like, but it samples the song that Boys Like samples. I
yeah.
can't think of the thing. Swish Swish also sampled the same song.
Oh, it's a
Um
Fatboy Slim, I think.
or something. I'm not too
Because
sure.
Swish Swish only used like the very start, where the
Yeah.
low voice is going like, they know what is what, but they don't know what. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I wish they had done more with the sample to differentiate them, because sometimes when I'm not listening actively and I'm listening to Sarah Candy, all I hear is Boys Like,
yeah,
and I don't really like that. But I do really love her speaking sections on the song, especially on the chorus. I think that's nice.
yeah. The next two songs are they've definitely been, at least when I was talking to you at about 1 a.m, divisive, to say the least. We
These
have
two
Enigma
songs,
and Replay.
they are the moment for me, and the vocals completely jump out in Enigma. I thought that
Yes.
she wasn't going to do a belty song on the album, because I remember she is a really weird reference to have, but I remember an interview she did for Born This Way, or maybe it's post Born This Way, but she was talking about Born This Way, and she was talking about how much she sang on the album, where she was talking like, I really sang on this album,
Yeah.
and vocally that's really demanding, and so I wish I had thought about that when it comes to like touring and stuff, because that's a really hard album to sing night after night. So I was like, maybe she's taking kind of a break away from the really really heavy vocal like belty songs, because she has loads of kind of like lo-fi speaking kind of bits throughout the
Yeah.
album, so I thought maybe that's the vibe she's going for. But um the vocals truly jump out. This is one of my top two songs. My other one being Replay, aside from the singles. I
No, like
love.
it did. It, like, the vocals did jump out at me at the straight at the first listen of Enigma. But as far as I'm concerned, that's actually the only note I wrote down. I obviously had Vegas question mark written down because I thought it might allude to her show,
Yeah.
because her residency is called Enigma. But all I have written down is just the vocals are great, and that's kind of it. Again, it was like Plastic Doll this morning. It seemed to grow on me like 1% more,
Mm.
but I'm still not convinced. Replay, I'm convinced by a bit more, but
I would do anything for these two songs. Like the calling out during the bridge during Enigma, I can't wait to experience that with someone in a club. It also, um, like Enigma is so similar to Hallucinate from Future Nostalgia. Um, it's the way she sings "Is It Just a Sign" on Enigma is very similar to how "Hallucinate" is worked into the um chorus, I believe, from Future Nostalgia. And then when it comes to Replay, again, it's like very disco feels. Really reminds me of when she covered "I Want Your Love" with Nile Rodgers. Um, and it's just a real dancey track. Like I love these two back to back. Um,
And she was
really,
talking about the second verse of Replay since her very first Chromatica interview when Stupid Love dropped. She referred to the second verse.
I didn't notice.
Yeah, when she was talking to Zayn just about Stupid Love, she said, "Oh yeah, there's a lyric on the album where it's like every day I dig a grave and I wonder if I'll behave. You're the best and the worst thing that's happened to me."
Yeah,
That's most of the
yeah.
lyrics, but she
I
talked
did.
about it right at the start.
I didn't even touch on, like, I think lyrically, Enigma and Replay are some of her best on the album as well. I think the content of Replay, of that idea of like rumination and like being stuck in your trauma and like
Yeah,
not being able to escape your mind and that sort of thing, is really heavy. But the way that the song is played off is like completely opposite to that, or the feel of the song, at least for me.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, what I thought was that they're both great concepts, great ideas. My issues was I thought they could have been done a bit better. I felt like there was
this
more potential.
this is how I feel about Plastic Doll and 911. Like,
Yeah,
I I think it might be that I had absolutely no expectations for Enigma and Replay. I thought that the two of them were going to be filler songs on the album. To be
yeah.
honest, when I saw the track list, I thought Enigma was just going to be some way to promote their Vegas
Same.
residency, and I thought Replay was just, I don't know, just going to be like a song that is kind of on the album but not that great. Um, and the two of them just like really really surprised me. So they are personally in there, top two aside from the singles for me.
Maybe one day I'll agree with you. But oh yeah, and I forgot to put a disclaimer at the start. Like this album is still very much in the first impression zone
Yeah,
with me because I noticed after I did the Future Nostalgia and How I'm Feeling Now reviews, even later that day, some of my opinions had changed. Maybe nothing too major, but as weeks went on, my opinions changed even more. So I would say just don't hold me to absolutely everything I say in this about this album because some of the songs I like, I may not like. Some of the things I don't like, I may end up liking. This is just how I feel right now. How I'm feeling now, to quote Charlie. Um, Chromatica 3, we're in the home stretch. We have, again, great flow from Chromatica 3 into Sound From Above. And it forces you in a way to listen to the album front to back to get the full experience.
yeah.
And I kind of like when people do that.
I
Yeah.
think this is the weakest act in my opinion. Out of the three, I think this is the weakest one for me.
Um, I I wouldn't fully disagree, but I'm still weighing up between it and Chromatica 2.
Okay, I can see that. You see, on my initial reaction, I would say that Chromatica 2 is the weakest, but then I remember that it goes Sarah Candy, Enigma, Replay.
Yeah.
Because when I think of Chromatica 2, I only really think about 911 and Plastic Doll, which is why I used to say that is the weakest. But when I think of Sign From Above, 1000 Doves and Babylon, I think the three of those songs tend to drag on, especially Sign From Above, and 1000 Doves. I think those two songs are very long compared to the rest of the album. And I just don't really enjoy that act as much. Um, I'm sure people can tell I do not like Sign From Above at all. I do not like it. It reminds me of the production on Britney Jean. Britney's I can't remember which album it was, but it was the album before Glory. It, her album from 2013, which arguably she didn't sing on for half the album. Um, Elton's voice reminds me of Skeletor from He-Man. It it just it really drags on for me, and I hate the last 20 seconds of the song. The breakdown, hate it. I
It's
do not
just
know.
shade after shade after shade.
I do not know. Well, I think a certain demographic of people will really enjoy the last 20 seconds. It is not a demographic that I am part of. I am not here for it. I just, I do not like this song. And like I said, I really do not like Elton's voice. His voice in his later years is really, it's like, it's just an old man yelling, and I don't like it. I don't like this
I
song.
quite like Sign from Above. I see. Thing is, I was always aware of Elton John, but I was never really a listener. I know everyone, like loads of people love his stuff, but it just wasn't what I listened to.
Mm.
But I always associated him with the piano. I never associated, like, I
Yeah.
know he was meant to be like a showman and stuff like that, but I always just associated him with being kind of like, it's adequate if he sits down and just
Yeah.
plays a piano, and that's enough to entertain
Probably
you.
because anytime you'd see him with Gaga, that's what he was doing.
Yeah. And same with her. She could do a
Yeah.
full just piano set. But anyways, the fact that he was on such a dancey song completely threw me. I was expecting something kind of with guitars and pianos and kind of a slower tempo as well, if them two were going to be working with each other. So it surprised me. I really liked it. I like how it kind of talks about the healing, and I love the fact that it's kind of religious in that they say, I saw a sign from above, which people would kind of just take as,
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, what's the word people use for like the prophet having their, is it like, I want to say epiphany, but epiphany doesn't feel like the right word, a revelation kind of thing.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's been spelt SINE as opposed to just any kind of sign, she meant like sign for music. So it's about the music, and I really like that. And as a big Charlie fan, the outro is like quite a lot of her stuff, especially in recent years, where it's very brash and
Yeah.
in your face and a bit aggressive and all that. And that's not something of hers I loved at the start, but I've grown to love in time. And I kind of, it's like, it's not the best in Sign from Above, but I don't dislike it.
Yeah, I just don't like it. And I don't really like a lot of Charlie stuff either. I know that's sacrilege, but
I'm going to
I
cut
just
that out.
I don't like the production on it. Anyway, when it comes to Thousand Doves, I think the song
This has been my favorite. This, outside of kind of
You
Rain on Me, I
are
love it.
crazy if this is your favorite song off the album. That is
It's the one that
the
I haven't stopped playing in the 12 hours that I've had the album.
how this and um this and Sign from Above, I have it written down, are the only songs that I wanted, like I was listening to them and I wanted to skip them, and I hadn't finished them yet, but I didn't because I wanted to listen to them the full way through, but I would not be able to listen to them the full way through. I
I'm
really
not
like
mad
the
about Sign from Above, but I don't dislike it. But I love A Thousand Tops.
I really like the lyrics of it.
Yeah, I like
Lift
that,
me
and I love I've been flying with some broken arms from the chorus. I love that line.
Yeah, lift me up, give me a start, because I've been flying with broken arms. Yeah, I really like that lyrically. I have written down, this is like the song that might come on at like around 1:30, where like some people need a break to go to the bar, and then some people are just kind of like still going because they don't want to leave the dance floor because they're waiting for a better song to come on, but they don't want to lose their spot. Like that's what this song is for me. But yeah, I get really close to skipping it. I don't really like it that much.
I just think there's a lot, like, because it's all very dancey, there's a lot of drops and stuff like that. I feel like it's one of the best drops on the album, and it makes me just want to dance. I love it. I think the 4 times that I woke up in the middle of the night in the 6 hours sleep I got, I think A Thousand Doves was the one I played most, because every time I woke up I was insistent on playing a song. And I can really feel the daggers in your eyes right now.
I just don't agree. I wish I could. I don't like them. I don't like them that much. Like, again, I don't think any song on the album, including Plastic Doll, including 911, I don't think any song is bad. There are songs that I don't vibe with, and
But
this is one of them.
one thing that A Thousand Doves reminds me of, I don't know if it reminds of you too. It really reminds me of her song from The Simpsons, Lisa Simpson Superstar. I don't know why, but I've just been it was on my mind ever since I first listened. I was like, this reminds you really heavily of something, and it's something related to her, but you don't know what it is yet. And then it hit me. I was like, this is really like Lisa Simpson Superstar. I don't know, but it does. I don't know. I like the redemption and the whole redemptive aspect to it. And we're finally, after saying we weren't going to do a track by track,
I know.
we come to the final
This is my
track.
fault.
No, I'm just as much to blame. We come to Babylon. I'm still a bit confused by it.
Okay, so this is what I have. The concept for this one, the concept for the video circus, I'm sorry. The concept for this one is, I really struggle to follow the concept for it.
Yeah.
Like, it's a song about Babylon the ancient. It's okay. It's like she realized that Babylon the city sounds like Babylon, the two separate words, like to
Yeah.
Babylon, and she was like, that is genius. I have to write a song about this. And I do not follow it. Like,
Yeah.
the song is it's very like kind of like a voguey spoken word, like bitch track sound, but then it's about this like getting away, or like not falling to gossip, but dancing. I cannot figure out what it's about.
I'm just not sure what it's about
Yeah,
either.
I can't figure out what it's on about. Now, it's rumored that this and Free Woman both got a music video. That those two were filmed before coronavirus hit. If this one did get a music video, I imagine it's gonna be like very jungly. Like, I picture very like Nicki Minaj, Anaconda, just with less twerking and more dancing and more like
Just as much
voguing.
ass?
Probably. Yeah, and again, I was saying this to you before we started, but the Babylon leak with the original instrumental that she used for House Laboratories, I think, is far superior
Yeah,
to
I
the
agree.
instrumental that this has. And I cannot hear the song without also hearing Black Jesus.
Yeah, even the album version. The original leak is so much more like it, but
Yeah,
even the initial one, it's been straight away, and I was like, this is the first thing I'm going to say.
it's a weird closing song, in my opinion.
Yeah. I'm still a bit...
It doesn't feel like a bookend to me. It doesn't feel like it closes the album, and maybe that was on purpose, because I will say Babylon does go into Chromatica 1 well,
Yeah.
so maybe it was designed so that people would re-listen to the album, but it doesn't feel like an endpoint to me at all. I do
Yeah,
like the song though.
same.
Just
It's not my least favourite, but I'm still not rushing to play it. I still just want to go back and listen to 1,000 Doves again.
I'm just going back to listen to Enigma and replay back to back.
16 tracks later, we're not going to get into the deluxe tracks.
Isn't there only one deluxe track?
Yeah, like there's 3. But there's only one extra song, which is Love Me Right, and then
Love Me
there's
Right.
a piano version of 1,000 Doves, and then a Stupid Love remix. And so the end of the album, as we know it. What like at the end of all that, notes?
In general, I think it's a really strong album for her. I think, in my opinion, this album was built to be a visual album. So I hope there are more music videos. I hope there are more visuals beyond Rain on Me.
Yeah.
I really holding out for Enigma and Replay getting a music video. I don't think they're going to. I think the most likely songs to get one are, like I said, I think Babylon might get one. I think Sour Candy might get one. I think she made the right decision with all the singles that she chose.
Yeah.
To drum up excitement and anticipation for the album. I think people will be pleasantly surprised with some of the songs and how well they enjoy them. I think lyrically it's not her most sophisticated album. Like when you compare the rhyme scheme of some of the songs on this album versus Born This Way, it's really not that complicated. Not in a bad way, but I just don't think it's very sophisticated lyrically. The songs are very short in general, apart from Sign from Above, which never ends. But yeah, the songs are very short, although that seems to be an industry movement. It seems
Yeah,
like
it's very
a lot
much.
of songs are going that way. And I would put this on par with art pop, second to Born This Way.
Yeah.
And
Um,
it might be better than art pop to me after a while of having it. Right now they're pretty equal, just below Born This Way.
yeah. I hope. I know that probably a lot of it has been affected by coronavirus, but there hasn't been a whole lot of talk of this world of Chromatica that she was talking about
Yeah.
from the start, and obviously a lot of that got interrupted and would probably be shown through music videos quite a lot because there's a lot of symbology associated with it and different imagery and aesthetics and these
Yeah.
themes and all that I hope she manages to explore and kind of show to us a bit more, because as far as I'm concerned the album doesn't feel like you're stepping into a different world. As
Yeah.
far as I know, like,
Well,
it doesn't feel
well
like you're stepping into this place called Chromatica, which is
Chromat-
no
Chromatica
bother. But
Chromatica 1 into Alice feels like you're stepping into a world, and then everything after that doesn't really feel that way for me.
yeah, good
And
point.
I wish we could see live performances, award show performances.
Yeah,
I want to see how she translates this album onto a stage.
yeah, because that I feel would help with that. Some of the songs are still, I think, still have to grow on me, but I can see some potential for them growing on me. And I also think it's probably her most actual dance album, because I remember,
Agree.
especially in the interviews from the early years, she would talk about how radio stations would not play Just Dance and Poker Face because they would come back to her saying, this is dance music, this is not what we're playing. But when you listen to Just Dance and Poker Face, even at the time, as much as they were different and creative, it was still pop music.
Very pop.
It
Yeah.
wasn't dance. Whereas
Yeah.
this is like
This is dance.
dance, and I don't know. Well, maybe it's just me, but with what I've listened to in my life, but I haven't had an album that takes in both happy and sad stuff all through like dance and upbeat
Yeah.
stuff. But I think
Yeah.
one of my favorite things that Zane Lowe said in her Stupid Love interview, he was talking to some other musician who was part of a band and decided to go back making stuff with a band or make stuff on his own instead. But anyways, he went and made dance stuff, and the guy came back and he was like, well, I did that because sometimes you have to get people to dance to get them to listen. And I feel like that's gonna reign true on this one.
Yeah. I think of all of her albums, with the exception of A Star Is Born, I think this has some of her strongest mainstream appeal in a really long time. Like
Yeah.
I think the general population will really respond to a lot of these songs.
Yeah.
Um,
Because even
especially
when she did Born This Way, and that was probably when she was at the height of her power and being everywhere, that album is still very out there. And people
yeah,
loved the
well,
songs and everything, but it's still not pop or dance. It's still quite rocky in a way.
yeah, and then when you think about like the content of Born This Way,
Yeah.
that's not a mainstream album. Like
No.
that's a song for people on the outskirts, particularly like queer people, but in general, like it's about people who aren't accepted. But I think this album isn't tailored towards any particular sort of experience.
Yeah.
It's very much like the human experience rather than a particular human experience for the album. So I'm interested to see how long it lasts, and I think we'll see different kinds of people responding to different parts of the
Yeah.
album.
So that was a nice review. Some of my opinions will probably change. I might
Likewise.
end up agreeing with you on some things eventually, or we might disagree even more on other things eventually. But but who knows? But all I know is that it's gonna absolutely occupy me for a while. Still waiting for my copy in the post. You're probably
Same.
still waiting for your 27 copies in the post.
I'm actually
We won't get into it.
yeah. Go on.
Still waiting for it, but I can't wait for it to come, and just can't wait for a party so I can play it.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to actually getting to experience this music with people in person.
Yeah, with people, but also being able to like play it loud as well. because you can't do that right now. But thank you for coming on, talking about
it.
it.
A lot of fun
and everything.
I'm really happy that we didn't want to do it track by track, and that's all I made you do. No, this is great.
I had a feeling it was going to happen.